Like literally, just imagine someone turns around and then they're like, "Oh my God, I love his height, I love his skin complexion," and you're just using it as target practice.
This is an episode of 2 Shades of Black in Europe.
There we go. There we go. For me, I just want to just do things, not more so like, oh, I have to do this thing before I'm gone.
Yes, in general, people say, okay, what I want to do before I die. But a bucket list can just be also like things that you would want to do just period in your lifetime, not before I die. Because it's like, I want to experience this. Like, for example, I want to go back to China and do bungee jump off of one of the mountains in China. Will I ever do it? Probably not, because I'm scared of shit of bungee jumping, and I'm not going to be, putting my life on the line for a little Chinese man's enjoyment. No. Is my weight going to hold the bungee? There's a lot of things that I think about. But have I done crazy things as far as skydiving? Yes. Yes. Would I do it again? I mean, given the right situation, I told myself, if I do it again, I'm doing it with someone to test if our love is real.
Okay.
I did it at a point in my life where I was in a really dark place. Mm-hmm. And it was more of, everybody's always told me, if you ever go do skydiving, you feel alive. I wanted to test that theory.
Okay. What did you come up with?
Oh, you feel alive. You feel alive. Because it's just something that you just would have never thought of. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of like, oh, I'm going to go ahead and do this and jump out of a perfectly good freaking plane and hope everything goes right where I can live to tell about it.
Yeah.
And so, to me, it was absolutely amazing. It's just, it's an adrenaline pump. You feeling like there is a whole nother world out there of like, okay, if I can accomplish this and survive, I can do anything in my life. And that's one of those things, because I've been in the dark place in my life, that I'm like, look, what's the worst that can happen if I try something? I failed. Okay, on to the next. It's not going to be life-ending. What is going to happen if I turn around, hop on a plane, and go visit and travel another country? I'm going to see how the next man lives. Because the one thing that I look at is like, if I only know how an American lives, then is that really living?
No.
And so not everybody thinks like that. So I'm like, all right, I want to go to other countries and look how they live and compare it to how I live. And it really makes me appreciate a lot of things that I have. But it also makes me understand that there's a lot of things that I can change in my life to make not only this world better, but how I perceive this world. You want to try this?
What is it?
The steak.
I'm good. Yeah, I do.
Grab a piece.
That's soft.
I know, that's why I took it. Like before my mom passed, this is like the only thing she used to eat as far as red meat.
Really?
Yeah, it's tenderloin. And it was like $32 a pound.
Yeah, that's good.
So, to talk about my mom, it was always one of those things where my mom was like, I would never stop you from doing what the hell you want to do. Yeah. So if my mom was never going to stop me, then I can go out and conquer the world. And that was just one of those things where it was like, get off my ass and do it. Left Florida, where all I knew family-wise was Florida. I could have been playing it safe and just stayed underneath the belly of my family. But I was like, no, I want to go figure out, I want to go out, fail, and fail often and early in life, so that by the time that I'm old, I know what the hell that I want to do. And I've already stopped failing, and now I've learned from my failures to build what I want. Does everybody have that opportunity when they first start out? Absolutely not.
You took advantage of that opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Am I highly successful? I can be more successful. Am I where a lot of my peers are in life? Absolutely not. Am I above it? I have peers that I'm above, and I have peers that I'm aspiring to get to.
Yep. I mean, a lot of what you say makes a lot of sense, and I think it's inspiring to a lot of people.
Just not you.
No, I think we all have a goal. We all have a life, and we all live it differently. You know? So like, what inspires you may not inspire me. What makes you want to live into certain things, like it's just the same thing about like what we have as preferences with women, life, the way we maneuver, what we dress. I think when it comes to life and travel, I don't think that is necessarily like something I'm against.
Right.
It just wasn't something that's like, oh man, I gotta go here. Like, I just like if I want to do something, I'm the type of person that I'll make it happen. It's more so for me. All right, Jay, what do you want? What do you want to accomplish this year? Like, I already made my move. I've never lived outside of where I was at.
Good, really good.
So for me, when I moved down to Georgia, it was like, that was like the biggest step that I've ever taken on my own, given the fact of my circumstances, right?
Right.
So for me, it's because I gotta, like you said, I gotta try, I gotta fail. Like, I've been playing it safe. So for me, travel isn't really nothing to save. It's just like, I gotta see what I'm trying to accomplish first before I can even be like, let me go do these fun things. Like, this is fun, but I still work, right?
Right.
So for me, I gotta make sure that I get what I want across that goal line before I can be like, let me experience this. Now, I can do both. I can try it, but at the end of the day, I'm taking this one step at a time, and it's just figuring it out. But like we talked about it before. Like, I want to move. I mean, I want to travel. I want to do different things. It's just, all right, I don't know where next. But like when we talked about Japan last time, was that yesterday or 2 days ago? One of them. But it was like, yeah, like I'm with it, just not in my budget right now. What I want to accomplish. You know what I mean?
And that was one of the things that I need to also be better at for myself. Because I have friends who's always aspired to, like friends I grew up with back at home, who's always wanted to travel. And I forget that they're not in the same place as me. Or the mindset where I'd put myself in $4,000 hole, not a $4,000 hole, for example, but I'll spend $8,000 on my credit card to go experience something.
Yeah, everyone has different mindset.
Exactly, or different priorities of what they would do. And so I get that, and I forget that, because like it's not easy for, like, I have friends at my age where they have a family to think about. They don't just have it in the budget where they're going to be like, all right, let's pack my bag and go travel to Taiwan for a month and a half, 2 months.
Yeah.
I got to remember that they don't just have that. And you know what? Maybe it might be on me to find a group of friends that do have it, while I don't put the pressure on my others, but wait until my friends can get to that point of traveling. And that's one of the main things has been on my wish list as far as when I get into a relationship. I need to have someone who has the flexibility to travel, because if you make me feel like you're my anchor and I have to be around because your job requires you to be around like at an office and we can't travel, that for me is going to be a red flag.
Would you call it a red flag or just not compatible?
But isn't a red flag something you're not compatible with? That's a red flag to me is something that is like a reason why we can't date. It's like a no-no for me. I mean, like a deal breaker.
That could just be a person then. I feel like it would be like, I think a red flag is more like something that gives you the ick, or like that's not safe for you. I guess I hear what you're saying, but if we really look at it though, man, it's like you're kind of just like making that window for you of dating like super duper small.
Or I'm just looking for a perfect woman.
That doesn't exist.
And that makes the window very, very small.
Because you're not perfect.
I know I'm not perfect.
So you can't keep looking for something perfect when you're not perfect.
But I guess it all also boils down to what exactly you would pick as like something you could look past.
Deal with it, yeah.
So it's like, okay, could I deal with someone who doesn't have the full education, but they work as a customer support person where they can do that from anywhere because it's remote? I don't give a damn if you're a customer support person. I don't care if you only have a high school diploma. But if you have the flexibility. Exactly.
So that's
because
it's not a red flag.
It's not a red flag.
But you said it was.
To me, and this is the problem. I keep moving the goalpost because I honestly don't know what I want. And me and my homegirl Casey, who I love so much, have been talking about that. What is my definition of a person that I want? I need to be able to write this down so when I do date, I have these things that I need to speak about. And I'm sure there's tons of people who feel the same way about how that is, but I look at it as like, all right, let's take a look at this and let's make sure that this is exactly what I can live with.
I mean, that's fair.
Because it's like, I don't want to turn around, and I joke about it all the time, like, oh, is this going to be my future ex-wife? But I can't just be letting things go and then turn around and become my future ex-wife because I let shit go that I knew was going to eventually be bad for me.
Yeah. I look at that with my situation, where it's like, I'm not into like a crap ton of animals.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if there's a happy medium, then we make it work. If not, then it was fun while it lasted. But it isn't something that we need to necessarily give up on or like throw it away. I don't really consider it compromising. It's more so doing things out of love and trying to figure out what works for you together as a team. Like if you're already at that point and there's certain things that you can't let slide and that person doesn't want to budge, then you need to have that tough conversation. But I think if you are able to, understand and, work on that, we gotta stop playing footsies under this table. But I think it is one of those things where it's not easy, and honestly, there's no right answer to any of it. There's no right or wrong, no matter if someone has a perfect relationship or not. There's always one thing you say is that goalpost will always continue to move.
This is one of the topics that I've been wanting to have about how it kind of feels. It's like we talk about as when you're a young person, and this is the guilt that I have every day.
Guilt?
If we gonna be real right now, we being real over some steak.
I got all fatty pieces left.
Ooh. But one of the main things that as a young person, I used to be very, very picky about who I dated. When I was younger, in my 20s, it was I need to date someone who's in law school or aspire to be a lawyer. I always wanted to be like that successful teen. Like the couple where it's like, oh, I'm dating a doctor, or I'm dating a lawyer, or I'm of what?
Dream team.
Basically, a dream team.
Dynamic duo.
And so that's all I really dated. But then I found out I didn't like the hours. I never saw them.
Yeah.
My job, I made really good money, but I had extra time. Being in sales, I don't always have to be like glued to something. My job I can do from a phone. But doing a lawyer, dating a doctor, they're glued to the office.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of my relationships in the past that I had with those weren't successful. We ended up breaking up one reason or another. But now that I've gotten older, I'm low-key starting to regret that I was so picky at a young age, because it's like, okay, if I would have just opened up and be more open to someone that wasn't a doctor or a lawyer or high power individual, would I be happy now? Because I would have been in a relationship. I would have had a team. Now as I get older and father time is over here knocking on my door and I'm having life scares as far as medical stuff, it's like, okay, maybe I wanted kids. Maybe I wanted all of this. When you start putting a time span, like, hell, I'll be able to say it. I'm 37. Some people say, oh, you're still young. But in my brain, I'm thinking like, all right, if I had a kid now, I'm going to be damn near 50 trying to play tackle football with him in the front yard. I'm already having body problems and
that's where
knees
you fix
hurting.
your body, though.
Huh?
That's where you fix your body at.
And I get that, and I'm in the gym now, but it doesn't change the fact that, like, as you go see these doctors and they're telling you that your body's deteriorating and you need to go ahead and do all this to stay with the Joneses, it's like, okay, you start bringing, like, different things of life in perspective. And now I'm like, okay, was I so picky at a young age that now my window has passed and now I can only date what's available?
The stragglers.
There you go. And how many women feel that same way because they were picky, chasing that same bag, and now you got men who's looking for younger women, and younger women looking for older men.
Sound like the circle of life.
It ain't it. But now you got a whole bunch of older women that are like, oh, do I just be alone for the rest of my life, or do I lower my standards and be with a guy who's not what I've been chasing for and don't match the success that I've built for myself?
I think sometimes when it comes down to it, not necessarily lowering your standards. I think it's really what's starting to make you happy in your life at that current moment. And as long as you're happy, that's what matters. Because, I mean, I'll be honest, there's times where I think about that every day. With anything. Like, I mean, we both play sports.
Mm-hmm.
Shoot, at least I was going to at least play overseas in a professional realm.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then you look at, all right, why did this relationship not work? Why did this relationship not work? Why this one did okay? And it's like, is it me that I want more? And sometimes you keep continuing to chase something that's not even there. That perfect person you thought was there didn't even exist because you thought it was, but it's like you missed out. It's just like how growing up in the hood, the girls wouldn't give you the time of day because they wanted to be with the dope boys, but and then once they're like 3 kids in, body's all trash, and now they want to give you a chance. So it's like, well, where was this before? No, I beat it. Now I'm successful. Now you want to know. So I get the part where you're chasing after something and wanting to have that dynamic duo. I think now as we're getting older, it's more so how do you become happy with what's available, or do you just stay off the market? Because if you stay off the market, you're not tainting the dating pool in the first place because of your jaded views.
But that I feel like you said, I feel like that can go for both sides.
Oh, it's not on one side or the other. That plays both sides. There's no, like, if you go after something and the first person to make you smile and that it makes you happy, that doesn't make them a good person. Neither does being able to be like, oh, do you have a 6-figure job, or do you have a college education?
I feel like that always goes back to you have a 6-figure job. Well, ma'am, do you have a 6-figure job?
Hey, man, I'll say this, man. People are always going to be picking and choosing. You can be, but it's like, what do you do? I remember whenever I was younger, I probably said this before in one episode, mm-hmm. And a girl was like, and I was like, yo, I'm not trying to talk to no girl unless they look like Kim Kardashian. And the one girl said, do you look like Reggie Bush? I was like, I got a couple abs. I got a 6-pack, but I was built like a basketball player, not a football player. But she made a point. It's like, how can I sit here and say this? And I'm still in my last year in college, so I don't have an NFL contract, nothing like that. Like, I don't have a real job at that time. I'm a college kid. But, I mean, I had to really sit back, like, you're right. I gotta accept what's around me, and all I could do is go after what I think I find attractive, and hopefully they want to mess with me as well. It wouldn't be considered settling because that person doesn't check all the boxes. I think it's what makes you happy. Like, I'm happy, but I know my person didn't check the boxes because it wasn't something I would even be attempted to. But I don't think that I would be something that person would want at a certain time in their life either. So at the same time, it's like, do we make each other happy? Yes. Is there growing pains? Yes. But as long as we remember that we're there for each other, I think that's what matters the most. And some things don't work out, but you could try to make it work. And once you leave that situation, like, hey, I did all I could to make her happy. She did all she could to make him happy. And then if it works out, great. If it don't, it was you enjoy the memories. There's like no manual in life, man.
There isn't. There definitely isn't no manual in life.
There's no manual. If there was, I would love a cheat book. Like, give me the codes, bro.
And you know what? There's people out here trying to create the cheat book, talk about dating advice and how to pick up a girl. But I mean, it's like, those individuals, are they even truly happy with how they're doing it? Like, you pick up a girl every night, you pick up a different girl every weekend while you go out. It doesn't really amount to anything. Okay, you've conquered flesh. You've been able to expose someone for the issues that they have mentally, that you've been able to manipulate them in a way of, okay, we've had flesh, you've been able to enjoy their flesh for a night or a week or whatever, but you have no intention of actually loving that individual. Yep. Is that really a gift? Is that really growing as an individual, or is it just exploiting the problems that there is with mental health?
I think so. I think it is. I mean, I'm not sitting here saying that, having like the hookup culture is a mental illness, but I think that
I don't mean the hookup culture is a mental illness. What I mean, taking advantage of individuals who haven't fixed their shit, and not knowing that they have problems. You got those individuals who have batters, bruises, like life issues, where they don't even understand why they're making the decisions that they're making, but they're making it because that's what they feel comfortable with, and yet regret it after they have it. So they're making a lot of decisions based off impulses that weren't ever good impulses. Yes, when I have wine, I talk educated, okay?
You always talk educated.
But there's individuals out there that can exploit those problems. And because they can exploit those problems, people aren't safe around those individuals. So why are you pointing at me?
People aren't safe around you, individual. I'm kidding.
Yes, there is yes and no's to that. But at the end of the day, I look at it as like, am I guilty? I wouldn't say exploiting, but am I guilty of knowing that someone has daddy issues? And I guess that is exploiting.
It is exploiting.
Not understanding that they have daddy issues, and I'm taking full advantage of the fact that they have daddy issues. Yes, I guess. Am I wrong for that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Am I gonna stop? I don't know.
No, you're not stopping.
I don't know.
You need to stop being so selfish. You're a good person.
Am I though?
You're a really good. You're a good friend. Like, you're my guy. Like I
You said you're a good person.
You're my man, $100,000. Yeah, but I wouldn't want to be on the opposite side of you.
Elaborate. What do you mean by opposite side of me?
I mean,
as a female, or just in general?
Both. You heavy-handed. Yeah, I wouldn't want those problems. I mean, I'm still gonna talk shit while I'm getting my ass whooped, but I'm still gonna, you're gonna have to KO me for me to stop talking. But it is what it is. But I mean, I think as a female, knowing you, I think that you use your education and intellect like Batman out here sometimes.
What do you mean, like Captain Save-A-Ho?
No, meaning that you utilize your education level and your friendliness to an advantage that not necessarily allows you to take advantage of women, but basically get what you want. And it's like, sometimes it's just not needed. And the only reason I say that is because I've been in those situations and I see how you maneuver. I'm like, I recognize that. And it's like, it took me a little bit of time to realize like that's not the move, because it's like you have a power that you abuse that you don't need to abuse. So,
but how do you know I know that I have this power though?
I mean,
and not that me misunderstanding that it's just a charm.
Because I've been around you to see how you maneuver. I see how it goes. I see the end results on half the things or the conversations that we have that are not on camera. So, but I don't think it's necessarily a negative thing if when it's two consenting adults at the end of the day. But at the same time, it's like there's situations I think that we both probably have been in that we didn't need to be in the first place. Just because we could do it doesn't mean we need to do it. If you could pull a good-looking chick's number right now because you find her attractive, you want to hang out with her, but you know it ain't gonna lead to anything. But you do it anyway. It's that's one of those situations where like, I have the power, I'm going to abuse it. What's the Spider-Man quote?
Hold on.
Yeah.
But time out. Sometimes you don't know what.
How do you not know? You're old enough to know, bro. It goes back to our conversation earlier.
You just don't know where it's like you can speak to someone, and you're speaking to them for not all the wrong reasons, but you're speaking to them because you know within the conversation you have, when you're off the first rip, you understand, okay, this is not going to go anywhere because intellectually I'm not attracted to them. Things that are outside of the appearance you can make no right off the bat. But it
Yeah.
can also build to something when you learn more about that individual. It's not, I'm not saying that it's always like that, but I don't know, maybe I'm just over here trying to get myself out of
You
out
are
of the
trying to get
chicken.
yourself out of it. It doesn't change the fact. What I'm saying is, yes, you could be like, okay, I know this ain't going to go nowhere, but she still has a fat ass. I'm going to try to hit. Or this person is beautiful, and I want to say that I notch this on my belt. I'm not saying that's what you do. I'm saying like some people will do
Not
that.
a notch on the belt.
Like, yo, I knocked this down. Like, yo, but did you hook up with XYZ? I hooked up with XYZ. And it's like, okay, you want a cookie? And I think that culture and not in the hookup culture and the culture of society is where I think people start ruining their image and how women start, not even women, but people and men in general, like start looking at things like body counts and stuff like that. And it's like, all right, what if this girl is just a simp and all the good looking guys keep taking advantage of it?
I don't, and I guess maybe I'm doing it not deliberately or not realizing that I'm doing it because body count obviously don't matter to me. I stopped counting since college. To me, yes, I will be honest, there are instances where I look at it as a game that needs to be had, where it's like, okay, like any skills, you need to keep it sharpened.
But that's the fact that you said a skill that needs to be sharpened. It's not like it's like a language that you can forget.
But
You
you
don't forget how
understand
to
the
talk to
dating
people.
world is very difficult now. You need to be able to stand out in these individual in these circumstances.
I don't know how the dating world is. I'm
Well,
sorry.
you're in a relationship. But what I'm saying is, being in this dating world now, you have to be able to bring something to the table, and the attention span being so small,
I mean,
you have to be able to bring something to the table quick within the first 10 to 15 seconds that separates you from the rest of the male species.
if the dating pool is that bad, where the attention spans are so much garbage, then there doesn't need to be a dating pool in the first place.
I don't control if there's a dating pool or not. I can only control who's in the pool.
But you can't control about who you court.
You're absolutely right. But it's like a job interview for me. And I'm going to be completely honest.
So you just
When you
wanna
have
knock them off and see which one sticks.
not
or
all of them I have. So like I will go and hit on a person without the intention of actually having sex or coitus or whatever the case may be.
So sometimes you just do it for sport.
I do it for sport because I have to understand my skill set in different scenarios.
Why do you need to understand his skill? But
Because what if
so
you
now
find-
you're treating my sport.
No, but what if you find, and maybe it's a dick way for me to understand it.
Clearly.
Why? Because here's what I've realized, and I've been in a situation where I've actually met someone, and it was a very attractive person. Everything that I've learned from them before I approached them was top notch, educated, whatever.
Sure.
But I've also walked up and fumbled the bag by saying the wrong things.
I mean, that's Michael Jordan didn't have a 100% free throw percentage.
But he was a killer. He practiced in the gym. He was Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan's was a different breed. They woke up and went to sleep in the gym. They practiced, and they practiced. So when it came game time, and who's taking the final shot? They not passing the ball like LeBron James. They were taking the final shot. And you know what builds the ability to have the confidence to take the final shot? Practice. Honing in on your
So
skills.
now you're telling me that some of the women you talk to are just practice dummies.
Some of them are. Sometimes you have to understand the different scenarios in which you put yourself in and how to make sure you talk to someone properly. It's the same way as a job interview, in my opinion. You go on a job interview, you have that job interview. Not every job interview is going to be the same, but you have to be able to practice on your job interview to understand how you're going to answer these questions.
So you're a professional fuckboy.
It's not a professional fuckboy.
I can't tell the difference.
At the end of the day, what I'm going to say is there are instances where you have to have a conversation with someone in order to have a practice with someone so you don't stumble through your words when it really time where it needs to mean something.
You could just have a conversation with anyone.
You can.
It's not going to change the
But not
fact.
every personality is the same.
But you're never going to run into the same personality. You might have a lot of people that have similar interests.
Or have similar questions.
I mean, like you said earlier, talking to a chick that, or wanting to date a chick that was a lawyer, so you want to talk to them more about things, like you can talk to them about law, and you can dabble in some of those things. Yeah, being well-rounded is definitely Good.
I have a quick question. This is a little off topic, not dead. This is dating wise.
Okay.
Do you believe, how much seconds do you give a guy that you're speaking to if you're attracted to them and you start talking? What is the time frame in which you provide that individual to impress you in talking before you say yay or nay, you're going to continue it?
So how long do I give someone to impress me before I decide if I'm interested?
Yes, you've already noticed that you're attracted to them.
Okay.
And then now you're like, okay, they walk up to you, you're having a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
How quickly do you determine whether or not this is someone you're going to continue to talk to?
Depends what the conversation is, I think.
Just in general.
Probably from that first conversation, but are you looking for like a time?
Say you're at like a pub. You go into a pub, you're having a drink or a pint, and a gentleman
The first few things they say, I think, will
determine what it is.
determine, if you see it.
So, but if a guy just walked in and just say, hello, how you doing, talking, and they seem a little dull, like the topic is, okay, let's talk about work.
Okay.
Is that, I guess what I'm trying to figure
I
out.
don't think that's an immediate no, like completely no, but you just think, okay, it's not really that interesting. But so if it gets better, then
let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Do you, when you go out and you're dating individuals, different individuals, do you ever go on dates to make sure you practice on how you would carry a conversation?
No.
Exactly.
No, absolutely not.
Okay. I guess I'm the crazy one.
You are the crazy one.
Would you do that?
Yeah,
I look at it
you just said.
To practice?
It's not the practice. It's just
But I do think it's different between men and women. I feel like men, sort of, you're the ones that are like, in general, have to like make more of the effort in the beginning.
Right.
To like chase, I guess.
So then my question
So women
is
don't really, you're just answering, I think.
do you feel some men have the skills to have conversation with women versus others who don't have that skill?
Yeah.
So therefore, do you feel it's a skill in order to speak to
I think
this?
being a conversationalist is a skill.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Some people are better than others.
It doesn't even happen. I think it's something that you can improve on.
I think some people.
So it's a skill. Well, you don't need to. If the person wants to talk to you, you can have the best conversation, and she'll be like, "I'm not giving you my number."
Yeah. And then it also depends what that person wants. There's a right level for everyone. You know, some people like a lot of charisma. Some people don't.
But do you feel like charisma is something that you can gain over time?
I think you can force yourself.
So how do you build charisma? Would that
by
not
talking
be?
to more people.
Thank you.
Okay, so your
Putting
job
yourself
is
in
being, so you're just trying to be
positions.
more charismatic is your plan.
I guess that would be what it is.
Okay, there we go. You proved my point.
Thank you.
You literally proved my point.
What?
You just want to be charismatic. And
But charismatic is what brings people to the table.
Professional boy. That's literally what you are. You might as well sign a 10-day contract.
So being charismatic is being a fuckboy.
No, what I'm simply stating is you either have it or you don't. I can never talk to a girl again for a year and then go outside and go pick up a girl.
I beg to differ.
I promise.
I beg to differ.
You either have it or you don't.
No, because here's the thing. You have a lot of individuals that go into a relationship that don't speak to other females. And then when they finally have to get into the dating mode, and it's a whole different dating scene,
you have to adapt.
And you know what? Not everybody adapts as quickly.
That's their problem.
Sorry, man. Sorry, not everybody is Jordan. Not everybody is Jordan where they can be that.
You either have it or you don't. I agree with everything's a skill. It's the same thing with music. It's the same thing with business.
Mm-hmm.
You do speaking to people in public speaking definitely takes a skill. Definitely takes practice.
Mm-hmm.
You are saying that you use practice. You use other females that you may not be attracted to use them as a sport to get the bigger females that you find attracted to.
You got to speak to more people.
Okay, so speaking to people is fine, but you're doing it in all the wrong reasons.
Okay.
If you're doing it because you just want to practice on your public speaking or speaking to strangers as a skill and being more charismatic, sure, by all means. When we're here now in London, you and I have been doing accents this whole time. Some of them have been horrible. Some of them have been pretty good. But at the same time, we're practicing them. If we keep doing them, we'll have the dialect.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of time and practice. But what I'm simply stating is, as a female that is trying to talk to you, or you're trying to talk to that female, and you know it's not going to go anywhere, and they might be like, oh man, I found my perfect guy. And then you're just using them as a practice dummy is not cool. You don't know what goes on in their head. Yes, you may have that.
I see your point.
That's what I'm saying.
I see your point. I didn't think of it in that manner. Okay.
Like, literally, just imagine someone turns around and you're like, there go my first test dummy. And then they're like, oh my God, I love his hair. It's actually real. Oh my God, I love his height. I love his skin complexion. And you're just using it as target practice. And then you go and use that conversation on somebody else. That's horrible.
Okay.
What I'm saying is there just need to be intentions with your words.
Understood.
I mean, you better not post this one because you'll get murdered.
Oh, I'm fine with it. I'm
kidding.
But here's the thing. It is, I think if you murder me in the comment, it is what it is. But I also feel there's a lot of men that are out there who think the way that I think.
Oh, 100%. There's even worse. I mean,
and also feel like they're not doing anything wrong, but this is just part of the dating field. Like, I need to keep an understanding of what, like, my charisma, it's like you don't pick up Rizz. It's not like you understand, like, oh, how do I have a best pickup line, or how do I approach and do an icebreaker? It is something that you literally, it's a formula. You got to go out. To me, in my opinion, like, if you have a great smile, great hair, all of it, and you're very, and it's, but it's just like, women aren't like threatened, or what I mean, when you approach them, they're like open to speaking to you because you're attractive. Then it's easier than if it's someone who looks like fucking Shrek. Yes, who looks like fucking Shrek, and you're approaching them, and now I'll have to speak. My words have to keep you entertained.
I mean, yeah, you got to use what you got. And if your charisma is something that allows you to get in the game, and that's what you need to utilize, but sure.
This goes back to what you were mentioning about, okay, I've seen you use your education and your wit and everything to kind of get what you want.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, it's like, who would I be if I didn't have the education, or I could go into a pool of individuals different individuals from A to Z, and have these conversations and be able to hold a conversation.
And it goes back to the point that you agreed upon, where I'm saying, hey, you can't use people as practice dummies and then turn around and that person might think you're the love of their life because you just was just so smooth with it. Meanwhile, they're just a test subject. You're a little guinea pig to you because you're using it for the next kid. You don't have to do that.
How many times am I somebody's test dummy? You know how many times I've been on a date where I was only taken out on
for a free meal?
Exactly, for a free meal.
I'm not sitting here saying that women are any better. They don't get a free pass from me. I think there's assholes in both sets.
Here's my question. Comment below. I know y'all gonna roast me later, but comment below. Let me know what y'all think. Is practicing your charisma in the dating world or going out kind of like a fuckboy situation? Or do you feel like it's sharpening your skills? I'm not going to say it's innocent, but it's understood in the dating world today.
I mean, I can't relate to that, but the last part, but I get that.
He's in a dating, he's in a relationship, so he may feel different. But it is what it is. I think this was a very good episode of just picking our brains in the dating world, especially 2 Shades of Black at a restaurant where we just had good steak,
really good
Argentinian steak, and some sides, and we had conversations with y'all. So I appreciate you joining us for dinner.